My name is Joshua Inman, and I'm with Child Fund International. We at Child Fund wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for volunteering at one of our many live events around the country. We also wanted to give you some basic training so that when you arrive at that event, you'll feel confident. As a customer comes to approach you or the table, I always like to start the conversation by asking, have you ever heard of child sponsorship? Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't. I explain that it's $28 a month to sponsor a child from another country. That money provides basic necessities like food, water, medical, dental, and education. 83% of the proceeds go to the child directly and 17% go to administrative costs. They may ask you what the commitment is. There is no commitment. They can stop the sponsorship at any time. We recommend doing it for as long as possible. We've had some customers do it for 40 years before. If they decide they would like to sponsor a child, then I have them look over the table and choose the child that jumps out at them. Sometimes you'll find somebody who has a hard time choosing a child because they feel bad choosing one over another. In those circumstances, I help them find a date, a birth date, an anniversary date, but some date that is special to them. Once they find their child, and we'll pretend like this is their child, we pull out the green envelope. In the green envelope, we need them to fill out the top with their personal information. After they've filled it out, just glance over it to make sure that everything is filled out correctly, and we keep the green envelope and they get to take home their child packet. Let's say they want to choose a child that from a country that's not represented on the table or a date that's not represented on the table. In that case, we will use one of these white envelopes as a request form. And at the very top, they will choose a boy or a girl, the age range, what country, and they can also make a note on there as to what date they want if they want to do it with a specific date. And then they fill out the other information just like they would in the green form. And just glance over it, make sure it's filled out correctly. Once they fill out the paperwork, if they've paid with a credit card or a debit card, we may give them one of our incentives. Depending on what tour you're on will depend on what the incentive is. It could be a book or a CD or something else. After they're done filling out the paperwork, I like to tell them that in a couple weeks you're going to get a welcome packet. In the welcome packet will be an address that you can write your sponsor child. They love getting letters, photographs of your family, your area, your life, and they'll write back. If the child is too small to write or too young, a lot of times their family will write back for them. And should they ever find themselves in the country where their sponsored child lives, the Child Fund will set it up for them to visit their sponsor child and see firsthand the work that Child Fund is doing in that country and the difference that their money is making. Every once in a while you're going to get a customer who comes up who's not ready quite yet to make a commitment, but they would like more information or a brochure. So in that case I give them a brochure and I point out on the back where our contact information is so they can contact Child Fund should they ever decide they would like to sponsor a child in the future. And I also like to let them know that our table will be open until the very end of the show. Every once in a while you're going to get a customer who comes up who wants to make a one-time donation. I always like to ask, would you like a tax receipt? If they do want a tax receipt, you take one of the white forms, the same kind of form that was used to choose a child from a country that was not on the table or a date. You have them fill out the area where it says one-time donation, they put the amount and their information so our office knows where to send their tax receipt. Now make sure that you only put their money in the envelope and no one else's so that their amount on the receipt is accurate. If they don't want a tax receipt, then you can put all those donations in the general donation form with everybody else's. The important thing is to have fun. Again, we want to thank you for being willing to volunteer, and we look forward to seeing you at a future Child Fund event.